All right, so this time we have a bit of a different video, not as heavily edited. It's going to be a live review of Chaton. Chaton. If I said the Australian accent, it's Chaton. That sounds awful. Or Chaton. But Nox is what his Twitter is. This guy, I think, does warrant his own VOD review. I'm not normally the biggest fan of a single just react content, especially when it's just someone waffling on like I am right now. But I think that Chaton is good enough to warrant it, as weird as that sounds. This guy's Black Panther, in my opinion, best in the world because one, yes, there's not that many out there. But his mechanics just separate him from someone else. And what's funny enough, he actually mentioned, I talked to this guy a little bit. He says a lot of people focus on mechanics a bit too much. And, you know, diving does just come down to timing and positioning, which is, you know, something that you might say is obvious. But you need the mechanics to be able to separate yourself from, you know, everyone else and then being the best Black Panther. I think he's the best from what I've seen. I've reviewed him and Chasm, the only real two Black Panther mains you'll see, but I just think he's kind of ahead. And it's only the mechanical difference, I think, that separates them. He, once again, said that people will focus on mechanics way too much. It is about timing. Obviously, he's got that down pat too. The first thing that you'll notice on this first point that I think separates him from, you know, a standard Black Panther that you might see farm in Plat or Diamond, he uses verticality heaps on this first point, and we'll see. And you know, in my mind, as someone who likes looking at, you know, a macro lens of everything, I thought Iron Man would be a really tough matchup, but he doesn't seem to think so. And I'll talk about matchups later on when there's some downtime. But you can see he's using a lot of verticalities, getting up high, marking the supports, and then getting out if possible. But he uses his spear for poke. And then straight away, this is the clip that this is how I found him. This fight here got clipped by Shroud and he freaked out. And honestly, I'm still freaking out over it.
Bro.
We might need
Yeah, this guy's just going off.
I agree with the Namor call. I think
let's do it quick because they were just on our.
So we'll go back and have a little slowdown review of it. Okay, so I don't know how he ends up triple dashing, but I don't really care about... I don't care, like, sure, he gets a massive mark here when he peeks around the corner, which we will see. You know, look, throwing in an auto, sure, you can say that's really micromanaging. But here, massive mark on the back line. Boom. Hits everybody. Awesome. He gets the dash, and he dashes one more time, which gets rid of his refresh. Here, look at this kick. He kicks B-Nans, bang. Flicks it to Luna. Oh, it's just disgusting. And if we watch that at 100% speed, guys, he's just not human. Look, 3 dashes, bang, bang. Like, how do you do that? Like, you don't think about that stuff. That's where mechanics and muscle memory just comes in straight. So let's talk about a couple of things that we talked about. That combo is something that, you know, you wouldn't really use as a bread and butter. You know what a bread and butter combo is? It's just like the stuff that you always do, essentially. He's a big fan of spear double dash, and he wants to get better at the Chasm spear double dash, which will eliminate anyone at 250 HP. There should have been a clip showing that mechanic on your screen now. But there's more complex things like spear, dash, kick, spear, dash, dash. This, you know, he gets in, he gets out, and then it's about timing and positioning once again, uses verticality once again. I just want to talk about matchups real quick. The thing that you will probably take your eye to is Namor. Now, Namor's not a really good matchup for Black Panther, or just dive in general. I think most Marvel Rival players are ready, you know, that's kind of common knowledge. The turret character is annoying to play with, especially when accompanied with a Luna Snow team up. There's a couple things that he enjoys versing, as, you know, the gameplay goes on in the background. He really enjoys seeing things like Punisher, Thor, Spider-Man, Groot, and Hawkeye in the enemy comp. And then, as I touched on before, he hates seeing Luna and Namor together. He thinks that the new character, Invisible Woman, does really well into Black Panther because of the push, and I would agree. I've seen a lot of clips where people have tried to engage, Invis Woman will push them, which will cancel their cooldown pretty much completely, and then, you know, make your dash get nothing because you're probably not going to be hitting the mark. The other thing that is kind of frustrating for Black Panther players when it comes to picks and drafts at the moment is triple support. Black Panther, his ult doesn't really do enough, or his damage just really isn't enough to contest those massive support ults and constant sustain, which is pretty annoying. Oh, another thing actually that he talked about was Storm. Her flight kind of being annoying. It's not really the be-all. It's just that she's really broken right now. The slow is something that he mentioned being really frustrating. But yeah, just her current meta strength is actually the real annoying thing. She's just a bit too bloated, in my opinion. In the chat that I had with him, just over Discord, I found it really interesting, and you can tell when, like, really good players are insanely good. Look at that dash. Just mark dash kills a Luna straight away. And that's kind of an issue that you'll see with melee characters, is once you've picked the support, it's kind of a trading angle, but I'm sure he's fine trading his life for a support most of the time. But yeah, the one thing that I noticed when talking to him is that he pretty much immediately said of the things that he wants to improve on. And that's, you know, that's obviously a massive green flag for anyone who wants to be one of the best players, or, you know, best, not one tricks, but yeah, just be a better player in general. When we watch people like this, who are insanely mechanically gifted, and have, look at, like, you know, what's going on the screen right now, things that most people can't really do on the game, especially when it comes to things like Black Panther or Spider-Man or things like that. We think that they're already goated, but they can already notice their own flaws, which is obviously a massive green flag. Yeah, so his flaws that he wanted to prove on were the Chasm double spear that I talked about earlier. And more, he didn't really say that it was a flaw of his, more so a flaw of Black Panther's, that his E, the kick, he's kind of seeing it more as a cosmetic ability rather than important part of a Black Panther kit, which I can understand. Now, what's interesting as we're moving on to the next map, we'll probably talk about his opinion on maps. So this is a pretty good one for him. It's a domination map. He prefers domination maps before their clumped fights. He notably enjoyed Spider Islands because of its side buildings and height-based plays. He finds Wakanda's domination map a bit suboptimal due to how open it is, but it's still playable. And then apparently convoy maps are a tiny bit harder because they require picking off targets from riskier angles. Now, with most one tricks, they will not swap. He doesn't share that mentality. Chaton seems like he wants to be one of the better players in the game and be up there with the greats, so he will swap, but he's just kind of playing Black Panther at the moment to really just practice it and just get some time on it, which I really respect. He's just, yeah, prioritizes learning Black Panther, and the big thing that, in his opinion, that makes DPS players in general strong is, not DPS players, but Black Panther has a reliance on DPS players, and the thing that does kind of make BP a bit stinky, not as good, is he doesn't really have another way to play. Like, let's look at Star-Lord for an example, because he's in the game. Star-Lord can play back, he can play poke, he can play flank, he can play cleanup, whereas Black Panther only gets real value from these clumped up fights, where he can actually get a bit of AoE off and a lot of collateral damage, but he doesn't find the ult valuable very much. Just, you know, in comparison to support ults, they're just too strong. We see that blue team take away Hydra's first point, or the first point of the Hydra map. I hate this map with a passion. Honestly, I hate all of, I guess, all the Hydra maps. I just think they suck. The moving maps. This one, I think, is just completely broken because high ground's so important. I don't like this spawn area. I think it's never used. Like, when do you ever push people up to this rocky area that we can see right now on the screen? It's pretty minimally used, in my opinion. We can talk about a bit of his background, because most of the people that we're seeing on YouTube, Necros, obviously a Genji player. We look at Shroud, obviously a CSGO, you know, prodigy. Not prodigy, but, you know, he was really good at CS. Look, to be honest, a lot of the Marvel Rivals content creators are Overwatch content creators who have come over and moved to Marvel Rivals, but not this guy. He was not an Overwatch player. He was a Gigantic player, which I respect, being a MOBA player as well. Gigantic was something that I did play, I'm not gonna lie. I had to try, didn't really like it, didn't keep going back to it, but he loved Gigantic. It was his first kind of go into the, I guess, the third person battle realm kind of deal. I don't know if it's really a MOBA. But before that, he had a competitive background in Gundam Evolution. He got rank 1 there, he won most of the tournaments. I love that he's from a random title that I honestly have never heard of before. And he was like the GOAT there. So it's cool to see how he can translate his dominance over there to Marvel Rivals. Outside of Chasm, he actually doesn't watch many content creators. He thinks he'll burn out if he watches too much content, which I can understand. I'm also not watching as many content creators. I'm just trying to create, you know what I mean? He gave me a couple games. If you guys want to hop into your own lobbies, I do advise just going in, especially if you want to play Black Panther. I'll put some IDs in the description below, so you guys are able to watch games that he thought weren't necessarily perfect games, but had strong moments of showing why Black Panther can be strong. For example, right now, how is he going? 18-7, you know, and it's into not the best matchups, right? He had to play into one of them all for a long time. And like, even now he's playing into Buck. Oh, dude, it's just this, what he does is just nuts. I don't know. I'll never be a assassin. I've never lent into the assassin playstyle in anything from League of Legends to Smite. Either, you know, lurking on just Go or Overwatch like that. I've never get into it. But this guy obviously has it. He has it down. But yeah, I thought rather, you know, I did a bit of research. I didn't just sit here and mindlessly say what was going on the screen. Let me know if that's something that you were interested in, or if you'd rather just have someone talk about what's going on the screen right now. I think getting a bit of a background on the person that you are reviewing is pretty important, because they should know a bit more about the hero than you do. Yeah, see you in the next video, I guess.